Hello, everybody. We'll get started in just a moment. On the YouTube page, there is a PDF of all of the PowerPoint slides. If you would like to review those or download those, please do that. So we'll get started in just a moment or two. Good afternoon and good evening. I want to say thank you for everybody who is on this webinar. And my name is JD Wyzolek. I am the founder of azcollegeplanning.com. And I started the business about 15 years ago. I was working at one of the local high schools and really found that there was a need for these students who were looking for direction and counsel and all that, and really just kind of fell in love with the kids. And from there, kind of jumped forward to building and starting the azcollegeplanning.com business. So as we move forward, if you do have any questions, please use the chat feature that's available on this YouTube page. Also on the YouTube page is a PDF of all of the PowerPoint presentation slides. You can review those. All right, we'll get started here. I like to call this talk, You Don't Know What You Don't Know About College, But You Really Need to Know. And one of the things that you need to know about is the college ranking system. And you've probably seen one or more of these publications. U.S. News and World Report, Best Colleges, is probably one of the most popular of these college ranking publications. There's dozens of them. Forbes has one, People, U.S. News, as I mentioned, Forbes, and anyway, a variety of different publications, and they send out a form to the colleges, and the colleges fill it out, send it back to the publisher, and based on the data, they rank the college. And there's a variety of different criteria that is ranked. If you look on the screen here or on the PowerPoint presentation, the slides, here are a couple different ideas of what is ranked. And one of the ones that I think that is the strangest one is the peer assessment, which is 25% of the rank. Basically, what peer assessment means is if you vote for me, then I'll vote for you, kind of a thing, which I think is kind of odd. So have you asked yourself, why would a college give out scholarships? Is it because they're generous and kind? Or is it because they are looking for and want and need a specific student? When a college is looking at a student and they are evaluating the student, they're asking a bunch of different questions. One of the many questions that they're asking is, how will this student impact our rankings? Will the student impact our rankings in a positive, neutral, or a negative manner? And if it's a negative manner, then they're going to reject that student. If it's neutral, well, they may admit the student, and maybe they'll give the student some scholarships. If it's positive, they're going to do whatever they can to get that student to attend their college. Because the higher a college is ranked, the more attention that college receives. And as a result of more attention, more applications come. And what also comes with an application? The application fee. So what colleges have figured out is that these publications will generate them money. Here's an example of that. University of California, Berkeley was rated the #1 public national university last year. And last year they had 110,000 students apply to their college, 110,000 applications. And it costs $70 to apply to Berkeley. So if you do the math, $70 times 110,000 is $7.5 million that was generated just in application fees. So of course they want to try and get more and more and more students to apply to their college so that they can make more money. The first thing that you need to understand about college is that college is a business. In fact, it is big business. You've probably seen some of the colleges with their endowments being in the hundreds of million and even in the billions of dollars. So when you're looking at a college, the first thing that we want to look at is, what is the cost of attendance? What's the sticker price of that college? We want to find that out. And the cost of attendance incorporates everything. It's tuition fees, room and board, meal ticket, lab fees, could be a student ID card or a student parking pass. All of that together, what is that number? And at ASU, it's hovering around $30,000 for 1 year. One of the things that I highly recommend is for you to visit some colleges, and definitely go visit the 3 schools that are in town here in the greater Phoenix area. We've got ASU, we've got Grand Canyon University, and we've got Arizona Christian University. The reason why I'm encouraging you to visit these 3 colleges is because they are three very different types of schools. ASU, large public college. Grand Canyon is a mid-sized private school. And Arizona Christian University is a small religious college. When you look at these colleges, look at them through a variety of different lenses, especially Arizona Christian University. At Arizona Christian University, look at it through two lenses. The first lens to look at it is the size of the school, and the second lens to look at it is the religious lens. What are the religious requirements at this particular college? So the reason why I want you to visit these three colleges is not a big time or money commitment. Half hour, maybe 45-minute drive to any one of these campuses, and then an hour or two on the tour. Visit these colleges locally so that when you do go out of town, you go to San Diego or you go to Chicago or go to New York and you visit some colleges, now you've got some things that you can weigh, balance, compare, and contrast. So I'll tell you, my daughter's story is we went on a drive. We did a big college tour and went on a drive, and we drove up to Seattle and we visited Pacific Lutheran University. And on the tour guide walked us around and said, here's our dorm, here's our cafeteria, and here's our new science building. It's awesome. It's got solar panels, it's made out of green recycled material, and we were like, wow, that's kind of impressive. Then we went down to Willamette University in Salem, Oregon, and went on the tour there. And the tour guide walked us around. Here's our dorm and here's our cafeteria. And then she showed us the science building and said, it's awesome, made out of recycled and green materials, has solar panels. And we're like, wait a minute. We just heard that. Then we drove down to Stockton, California, and went on the tour at the University of the Pacific and had the same tour. Here's our dorm, here's our cafeteria, and here's our science building, green, solar panels, recycled material. We're like, okay, cross that off as being unique and different. Then we can really focus on the areas that are unique at each of the different colleges. So please go visit some colleges. I know it's a little bit of an odd time to visit right now. One of the things that you can do to visit colleges is look at some virtual online tours, and please attend some of those events. One of the areas that is ranked is most expensive college. And Sarah Lawrence University in New York, they like to claim the #1 spot there. And their sticker price for 1 year is $75,740 for 1 year. And Stanford is $75,470. And then we look at UCLA. UCLA's out-of-state cost is $63,518. Wow, that's a bargain compared to Sarah Lawrence, right? Okay, if you really want to scare yourself, do this. Go to the college's website and in the search window, type in cost of attendance. That's going to bring you to their page. You add all of those numbers together, and that's what your cost is for 1 year. So here's how you're going to scare yourself. You take that number, and then you multiply it times 4 years, and then you multiply it again times the number of kids you've got, 2 kids, 3 kids, etc. And that's enough to give anybody a coronary right there. And have you asked yourself, how in the world are we going to be able to afford it? And I have talked to literally hundreds of different families, and these are some ways that they've told me as ideas of how they're thinking about paying for college. And always the first one that comes up is, well, we're going to get a private scholarship. So let's put a definition on what private scholarship means. That's a scholarship that your student applies for and wins. If your student gets an email or a letter that says, congratulations, you've won a scholarship, and they have not applied for it, it's probably a scam, especially if that letter says, mail us $100, and we'll tell you which one you've won. So the first thing with a private scholarship is your student has to apply for it. And if they win that private scholarship, it's portable. They could take it to NAU, they could take it over to Texas Christian University, they could take it over to University of San Diego. It's portable. Versus if they won the Wildcat Scholarship at U of A, the Wildcat Scholarship is only available for use at U of A. So private scholarships are portable. Now, before you go spend all this time researching private scholarships are pennies. The bulk of the money is going to be in 3 categories. And these categories are going to be federal funds, state funds, and the biggest pot of all is going to be the college's endowment funds. So colleges will offer some scholarships through their endowments. And some colleges are very wealthy, in the millions and even hundreds of millions of dollars. And there are some colleges that are just ridiculously rich. Harvard claims the #1 spot for that one. And Harvard has $38 billion in their endowment fund. That's billion with a B. That's just crazy rich, okay? So a lot of people and a lot of families will spend a lot of time going after these private scholarships. Those are the pennies. And of the money that's available, less than 2% of that is private scholarships. Again, the bulk of the money is going to be in the college's endowment system. The next strategy that parents have told me as a way to pay for college is, my student is an athlete, he or she is going to get an athletic award, okay? And I'm sorry to tell you this, that unless your student is the next NBA, the next NFL, or maybe even the next Olympian, the likelihood of getting a full athletic ride is going to be very slim. Now, I'm not going to say no to any athletic scholarships, but it's not going to cover the full cost of tuition or even the total cost of college. If you look up the NCAA's website, the average men's baseball scholarship is around, I have to look it up again, $5,806. That's way short of the total cost of attendance, even at ASU. So athletic scholarships. The next strategy that parents have told me as a way to pay for college is through savings. And I read a statistic that the average family has saved $10,000 or less for college. Now, if you saved more than that, then God bless you, you're better than the average. Now the question is, the money that you have saved, how is the financial aid system going to look at that? And there are 3 different buckets of money. The first bucket of money is money that is in the student's name, and that gets assessed at the highest percentage, anywhere from 20 to 25%. The second bucket of money is money that's in the parent's name, and that gets assessed at a lower percentage, anywhere from 5 to 15%, depending on what type of financial product it is. So sometimes just by moving money from one financial product where the student owns it to the parent's financial product, sometimes we can qualify for more need-based aid. And then there's a third bucket of money, and that is money that is not assessed, and that is going to be anything that is under the retirement umbrella. Okay, we want the bulk of our money to be in that not assessed pile. Okay. So again, sometimes just by moving money around from the student to the parent, we can qualify for more, or moving it from one financial product to a different financial product, we could qualify for more need-based aid. JD, what about 529s? We have one of those, or we thought about opening up one of those. We're playing a poker hand here. And if we expose to the college, hey, I have a 529, they're going to go, that's my money, I want it, and they're going to take it and they're going to split it into quarters. And they're going to say, we want 25% the freshman year, We want 25% the sophomore year, etc. And I have seen colleges reduce the scholarship and aid package dollar for dollar with 529s. So as an example, if a family had $20,000 in a 529, the college is going to ask for 5,000 of that the freshman year, and they could reduce the aid package by $5,000. So sometimes by moving money around from one financial product to a different financial product, sometimes we can qualify for more need-based aid. Here's my disclaimer on that. Before you move money around or any of that stuff, you need to know what the ramifications are, both positive and negative. Sometimes it's smart to move money around, sometimes it's not. Each financial family situation is unique and needs to be addressed accordingly. If you do have one of these 529s, or you're thinking about any of those things, or you have any questions on that stuff, please do reach out to me. I'm happy to give you as much information as I can with that. The next strategy that parents have told me as a way to pay for college is we're going to pay as we go. And with that, you can go to the college's website, figure out what the cost of attendance is, take that number, divide that by 12 months, or in most cases, divide it by 10 months, and that's what your cost is going to be. Okay? Typically, most colleges do not have a payment plan. Usually they're going to want a full semester or to pay the entire year up front. Usually it's the semester. Now, granted, there are some colleges that do have payment plans. For example, La Sierra in Riverside, California. The last time I looked at that one, in order to utilize their payment plan, it was $75 a month on top of whatever the payment was. Again, typically they're going to want a full semester or an entire year up front. The next strategy parents have told me as a way to pay for college is we're going to borrow the money. And there is a loan out there called the PLUS loan. And theoretically, if your income and credit can afford it, you can borrow up to 100% of the cost of attendance on a PLUS loan. So looking back at Sarah Lawrence, $75,000 for 1 year, if the student was admitted to that college and did not receive any type of scholarship or grant, theoretically, that college could offer the parents a Parent Plus loan for $75,000. Now, please don't do that, by the way. But I want to tell you what some colleges are doing. I had a family who signed up for one of the free complementary consultations, and they wanted to know what the heck it was they were about to sign for because they had an award letter. And the award letter states on there, it's kind of like an invoice. It says, here's what the cost of attendance is. Here's how much we're giving you in scholarships, grants, loans, work study. Sometimes they'll list on there, we're giving you an iPad or money for a laptop or whatever. We want that award letter from each of the colleges before we make a financial decision. So Denise and her family came into the office and they wanted me to look at their award letter and kind of evaluate that. And some colleges are kind of devious with their award package because it said on there PLUS $25,000. And they were really excited because they thought the plus was a scholarship. Well, what PLUS stands for, it stands for Parent Loan of Undergraduate Students. So they had three realizations. The first realization was that this is a loan and you've got to pay it back. That was their first realization. Their second realization was this is a loan, we've got to pay it back now. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that student loans are deferred as long as the student remains in college. And that is true for student loans. For the Parent Plus loan, those are due 30 to 60 days after disbursement. So if your student starts college in September, around October, November, December, somewhere in that time frame, they're going to ask for their first payment. So that was our second realization. We've got to start making payments on it right now. Their third realization was, yeah, this is $525 a month, and we can afford that on our income now, but that's just for his freshman year. If we follow this path and take out another loan for his sophomore year for the same amount, now we're looking at an additional $525 a month. And those loans stack. So the sophomore year, the payment would be $1,000. The junior year, if they took it out again, that's $1,500. The senior year, they're looking at over $2,000 a month for taking out 4 Parent Plus loans. And that's just one of their 3 kids. And they're asking, how in the world are we going to be able to afford that? And I'm happy to tell you that they did not go that route. In fact, if you go to the website azcollegeplanning.com, you can click on the testimonials page, and what Denise says about her. We got all 3 are done with college. We've got her last finished with college, and Courtney graduated from a private college, and she graduated 100% debt free, and parents did not take out any educational loans as well. So that's exactly where we want our students to start their lives as they graduate from college with little or no student loan debt. The next strategy that parents have told me as a way to pay for college is using a home equity line of credit or doing a cash out refinance. You guys all know what that means. I won't go into the details on that one. The last strategy to pay for college that some parents have told me is we're going to liquidate or we're going to use some of our retirement funds. So let's create a scenario here. By the way, don't use retirement funds to pay for college. Retirement funds should be for retirement. Here's a scenario. Let's create a scenario where we've got a family of 4 and mom and dad's adjusted gross income is $75,000. And their student was admitted to a college that cost $50,000. And their kid got a half scholarships of $25,000. So it's going to cost $50,000. I'm sorry, it's going to cost $25,000 for that student to attend that college. So mom and dad are looking at it going, you know what, we've got some money in our 401k, let's pull that money out. Now here's the double whammy on that one. The first one you're already aware of, and that is if you're under age 59 and a half, you're going to get hit with those taxes and penalties. The second whammy actually hits them the next year. So at $75,000, they're going to qualify for this much aid, whatever that is. But that $25,000 that they took out, that's going to stack on top of that. Now they're not at $75,000. Now they're at $100,000, and they're going to qualify for less aid the next year. So before you move money around or any of that stuff, you need to know what the ramifications are, both positive and negative. Again, sometimes it's smart to move money around, sometimes not. Each family and each student situation is unique and needs to be evaluated accordingly. And I always like to say, please don't throw out the college based solely on the sticker price. But do ask, how am I going to pay for it? There are several acronyms that you need to understand. The first one is COA, which is cost of attendance. What is that total cost? We mentioned that just a moment ago. The second acronym that you need to learn is EFC, and that stands for Expected Family Contribution. Expected Family Contribution. We're going to talk about the 2 main financial aid forms, the FAFSA and the CSS profile, in just a moment. When a student and a family fills out the FAFSA form, it asks for a whole bunch of data. How much money do you have in these various accounts? What's your adjusted gross income? What's the age of the oldest parent? And a few other factors that go into calculating out what's called the EFC, the Expected Family Contribution. And the EFC is what the college and the government think we expect you to pay for college, regardless of if that number is astronomically ridiculous or not. Case in point is I had a family who came in and they wanted me to look at their FAFSA form, because their EFC was $101,000. What that number means is if their student was admitted to a college that costs $50,000 a year, they could just write a check for it, and one of yours. The reality of it is that wasn't true because their adjusted gross income was $75,000. I said, your adjusted gross is $75,000 and your EFC is more than 100% of your income? How did you do that? And I was reviewing their financial aid form, and one of the questions on there was, how much do you have in your investment account? And they said, well, we've got $500,000 in our 401k, and we've got another $250,000 in a Roth, and then another $50,000 in checking, savings, and other odds and ends. So $800,000. They put that number in there, and that falsely inflated their EFC. Remember what I told you earlier, that there's 3 buckets of money? The third bucket of money has that retirement umbrella over it. So they incorrectly reported the 401k and their Roth retirement income, or I'm sorry, retirement savings. That should not have been reported. So that overinflated their EFC. If you want to learn more about the EFC and how it's calculated, you can find this document. It's online. It's called the Higher Education Opportunity Act. Higher Education Opportunity Act. I do have to warn you, it's 432 pages of the most god-awful, boring lawyer speak you can imagine. So if you're having sleeping problems, just print off with a couple of those pages. It'll knock you right out. I did have the joy of reading it. It took me about a month and a half to get through that sucker. And it does cover every scenario, regardless of whatever the student is facing, whether it's a traditional household with a mom and a dad, or divorced or separated, or living with a relative or a grandparent, or even homeless. Whatever the scenario is covered in that document. What we want to do is we want to try and get our EFC as low as possible. And there are legal and ethical ways that we can do that. So moving on, the 2 main financial aid forms. The first one is the FAFSA form. And please write it down as you see it on the screen here, FAFSA.ed.gov. It's a .gov website. And if you go to a search engine and you type in financial aid for college or FAFSA in the search window there, it will bring you to a page and it will ask you all the same questions that are on the FAFSA form. Then the last question it asks is, would you like us to submit this on your behalf? What's your credit card number? And then they'll charge you anywhere from $75 to $135 to do that. If you go to the correct website, FAFSA.ed.gov, there is no charge, hence the name, Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And the FAFSA is the form that will calculate out your EFC. The second form is called the CSS profile. And the CSS profile is administered by College Board. College Board, they are the entity that hosts the SAT test, as well as AP tests, CLEP tests, and a few other things. I always find it interesting that the College Board hosts all these different things. And maybe you've heard some news that the University of California system is, so that would be UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC San Diego. Those colleges are going to, over the next 5 years, phase out using the SAT test as well as the ACT test. And the UCs are going to come up with their own test. Well, if you look at it and really understand what's going on in the background, last year, College Board made over $3 million, $3 to $5 million, I'd have to look up the exact number, from students who've taken the test over the course of the year. So, yeah, of course, UC is going to want to get a piece of that pie. So there's two financial aid forms, the FAFSA and the CSS profile. And the primary difference between the two is the CSS profile, they ask all the same questions that are on the FAFSA form, and in the supplemental section, they can ask additional questions. For example, MIT uses the CSS profile, and one of the questions that is asked by MIT in their supplemental section is, what is your student's cell phone number? Well, I have a conspiracy theory for that one. One of the other questions that's on there is, what is the make, model, and year of your vehicles? Well, JD, why are they asking me that question? One of the reasons why they're asking that question is because if somebody claims that their adjusted gross income is $50,000 and they put on there that they have a car, they have a 2020 Bentley, that those numbers just don't match, and they're going to start asking some more questions and stuff. So on the supplemental questions, they could ask you about the make, model, and year of your vehicles. Another question that they ask on there is, how much will your grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors, etc. give you to go to college? I always like to ask that question. What should that number be? And the answer is 0. Okay. One of the other primary differences between the CSS profile and the FAFSA form is that the FAFSA, there's no charge to submit it. The CSS profile, it's $25 for the first college and $16 for each additional college. And there's about 100 or 200 colleges that utilize the CSS profile. These are more of the elite colleges, Harvard, Stanford, Duke, Princeton, MIT, those types of colleges utilize the CSS profile. And I've had some families tell me, JD, we make way too much money to qualify for any type of need-based aid. Why should we fill out any of these financial aid forms? And the answer is we want to play the game. And part of playing the game is submitting whatever it is that they're asking for, and they are asking for these financial aid forms. I won't tell you the name of the college. I'll just give you their initials, USC. It's kind of a joke. USC, they're notorious for rejecting students who do not supply everything that they're asking for. And one of the things that they are asking for is the CSS profile. One of the reasons why they're asking for that financial aid form is because they want to know, if we admit you, can you pay? So that's the FAFSA and the CSS profile. I had another scenario with another family, and dad says, you know what, we make way too much money to qualify for any need-based aid. Why should we even bother? I said, let's play the game. And dad was pretty well off. He earned $1.5 million annually through his work, and he also had like $2 or $3 million in his checking account, which I was kind of scratching my head on that. Why do you have that? Why don't you move it to some place where you can get better interest rate than 0.01%? But he had a couple $1 million in his checking account. He had another $4 or $5 million in a brokerage account. He owned several $1 million houses and all that stuff. And I said, let's play the game. Let's submit it. And his son, John, applied to, I can't remember which one. It was one of the George schools, either Georgetown or George Washington University in the DC area, which is predominantly a need-based aid only school. What need-based aid only means is if the college determines that there is no financial need based on the financial aid forms, the FAFSA and the CSS profile, if the college determines that there is no financial need, then it will be expensive for that student to go to that college. If the college determines that there is need, then they'll give it to the student. Okay, so this particular college was predominantly need-based aid only, and based on dad's numbers, he was not going to qualify for it. His student was not going to qualify for any need-based aid. I said, let's play the game. The long story and the short of it is that that college wanted John because they looked at him and said, yes, we need this student because he will increase our rankings in one or more category. Let's give him a shot. They also looked at dad and said, ooh, potential future donor. So what they ended up doing was they ended up giving him a half scholarship around, I can't remember, it was around $25,000 or $30,000 out of a $60,000 sticker price. And of course, dad was ecstatic because he had the ability to pay full price and he didn't have to. So please play the game and submit all the financial aid forms. The 3 questions you need to ask every college. The first question is, how much need will you meet? How much need will you meet? So as an example, we've got a cost of attendance, I like to do simple numbers, of $30,000. And we have an EFC of $10,000. Now, I don't know what everybody's EFC is, but I do have a fantastic EFC calculator. When you come into the office, like we can plug in all your numbers and generate an estimated EFC. And it's pretty close, usually within a couple $100 of your actual EFC. So we could do some strategic things to lower the EFC and get them to that number. So in this scenario, we've got a cost of attendance of $30,000. We've got an EFC of $10,000, and we qualify for $20,000 worth of need. Some colleges will meet all of that. Some colleges will not. And in my example here, I'm going to say that this particular college meets 75% of your need, and that is going to be $15,000, which leaves us of a dollar amount of $5,000 of what's called unmet need. So a truer cost for this student to attend this college is that family's going to have to come up with that EFC number first, plus the unmet need for about $15,000. This is called gapping. If a college is looking at a student and they determine that this student will have little or no impact on any of the ranking areas that are important to the college, then they may give them a little scholarship package or no scholarship package at all. If they determine that the student will have a positive, strong impact on their rankings, then they're going to do whatever they can and offer some better scholarship packages. So again, that's called gapping. So in this scenario, we are gapped $5,000. So the first question is, how much need will you meet? We have a potential cost of about $15,000. The second question is, how much will be gift aid and how much will be self-help? Gift aid is scholarships and grants. That's the free money. We want that. We want lots of that. And then self-help is broken into 2 categories, and those categories are loans and work study. And all y'all know what loans are. And what work study is where the student works for the college or one of the college entities, and they earn a paycheck, and they can use that towards buying books or paying for the lab fees or something like that. When I was in college, I had a work study job in the cafeteria, cleaning off the trays after they're put onto the conveyor belt. Do you know what college students do with their food after they're done? I'm like, gross. I didn't last very long in that work study job. I have 3 kids, and my oldest daughter was in college in her sophomore year of college. Around October or so, she called me on the phone and says, Dad, I applied for a work study job. Okay, awesome, cool. And then about a week or 2 later, she called me back and said, Dad, I got that work study job. And I'm like, awesome, great, what is it? And she kind of hesitated and paused for a moment. It's working for campus security. I said, awesome. Tell me you got the sweet hours. She said, yes, the 11 p.m. to the 3 a.m. shift. So I thought that was kind of humorous and stuff. And my middle daughter, she was sitting in a theater class, and the professor in the theater class said, at the beginning of the class, said, does anybody here know how to sew? And my middle daughter, she kind of reluctantly raised her hand and said, yes, I've hemmed a pair of pants once. And the professor said, great, you're our new seamstress. and she learned a ton that semester, and she got paid to do that. And at the end of the semester, I asked her to make my Comic-Con costume, and it turned out fabulous, by the way. So work study is one of the options that's available. So the second question is, how much is gift aid and how much is self-help? What is the split on that? And let's go back to our scenario here. We qualified for $20,000. They're only going to give us $15,000. Of that $15,000, what's the split on it? And just for simple numbers, I'm going to say that it's 50-50. 50% of that's going to be gift aid, $7,500. That's going to be scholarships and grants. We don't have to pay that back. And then another 50% is going to be self-help in a combination of loans or work study. And with the loans, of course, we do have to pay that one back. So we want to know what all of these different numbers are as we're identifying these different colleges. Some colleges are very generous and some not so generous. In a moment, I'm going to do a live real comparison between two colleges. The third question, which is probably the most important of the three questions, and that is, what is the average timeline for students to graduate from your college? How long is it going to take my kid to graduate from your school? You can go to my website and look at the college results button. It's on the right-hand side of the page if you're looking at it on a laptop, or on a laptop. And click on that. It'll bring you to this page. You could type in the name of any college and it'll give you some statistical information here. And this one happens to be NAU, and the data on here says that the 4-year graduation rate is 36%, and the 6-year graduation rate is 53%. Why is it taking these students so long to graduate? One of the reasons why it's taking so long to graduate is because they apply for, try to get into a particular class, and that class is full. Especially at the large colleges, if they have to get into a 200 class and they need to get into the 100 class before they can get into the 200 class and the 100 class is full, that's just going to postpone it. That's one of the reasons. But the primary reason is because a student will go in and they'll take a class. Oh, I think this criminology class sounds fun. I'll try that. And they end up taking that class. Or they're like, oh, you know what? Architecture, that sounds kind of cool. I'll try that. And when they go in, they take those classes. If they haven't done the research on it, they're going to realize it's not exactly what they thought it was going to be. And when a student changes majors, that pushes the graduation window out further and further. So as they change majors, then they have to reset. So that's why it's taking these students 5-6 years to graduate. So one of the things that we do at AZ College Planning is we help students. We help students research careers, majors, and then colleges. I love to ask this question when students come in: what colleges are you thinking about? And my question always is, does that college have the major in the program that you want? So at AZ College Planning, we help students research careers, then majors, and then colleges. And when we're looking at careers, we always need to answer two questions. The first question is, what is the growth for that industry? Can we get a job? And the second one is, what's the pay scale? Good growth, good pay. Yeah, let's keep it on our list. So I want to tell you my story. Yep, that's me. That's my high school senior picture. When I went in and met with my guidance counselor, and I had a conversation with her. I still remember that conversation today. I went into her tiny little office, and as I walked in there, I said, "Hi, Miss Nuss," and she said to me, "Hi, JD. Hey, JD, you are a good artist. You should be an art major." And I thought about it for all about 30 seconds as she dismissed me and pulled in the next student. So no offense to any guidance counselors, they're overworked and overbooked. Like I mentioned, I thought about it for about 30 seconds and thought, artists don't make any money. I need to do something else. And at that same time, there was a TV show on. Maybe you guys remember this TV show. It was 30-something. Gary and Elliot had an ad agency, had a beautiful office and beautiful wives, all that stuff. And I said, I'll be a graphic designer. That's awesome. Also, at that same time, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine at Biola University in Los Angeles. I was talking with him on the phone, and he says, JD, you got to come to the school. It's so awesome. The girls here are so cute, and we have the most amazing beach bonfire parties. And they did. And I said to him, do they have a graphics department? And he said, yeah, they do. And I'm like, awesome, I'm in. And that's how much thought went into me picking my career major in college and all that stuff. What ended up happening is I ended up getting an internship in my junior year of college. I really wish I would have gotten an internship as a freshman in college, because as I went into that internship, I realized this is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's not something that I want to do for the rest of my life, and I ended up having to reset. So again, what we do at AZ College Planning is we help students research careers, majors, and then we'll help you generate a list of colleges. So I want to tell you Lynn's story. When Lynn came into the office with her dad, and when you and your student come into the office as well, I'm going to ask this question. And that question is, do you have any dream schools, or what colleges are you thinking about? And Lynn's dad pipes up and says she's going to NAU because that's all I can afford. And I said, let's play the game. And part of playing the game is to apply to more than one college. Because if a student applies to one college and is admitted to that one college, other than that college saying, yes, you can come to my school, what else does that college have to do to get that student to go there? Now, if that one college has to compete with 3 or 4 or 5 or more colleges, then that one college must offer some form of incentive. And the incentives that we want are scholarships. So what we recommend is applying to 6 to 12 colleges, and Lynn ultimately applied to 7 colleges. Of the 7 schools that she applied to, she was admitted to 5 of those colleges, and 2 of the colleges fell off the wayside for one reason or another. And it came down to these 3 colleges: Willamette University, Whitman College, Willamette, which is in Oregon, Whitman, which is in the state of Washington, and of course, Northern Arizona University in Arizona. When I helped Lynn identify these colleges, what do you think Dad's first question was? Well, his first question was, what's the sticker price? What's the cost of each one of these colleges? And back at that time, each one of these colleges had a sticker price of about $45,000 per year. Today, they're hovering around $60,000. And Dad had a coronary right in the office. We pulled out the defibrillator. I said, let's play the game. And I helped Lynn with her applications, helped her with her essays. We even showed her how to properly market herself to the colleges so that when those colleges looked at her, they looked at her and said, yes, you're exactly the type of student that we want to attend our college, because you will have a positive impact on our rankings. And the first college that admitted her was Willamette University, and Willamette gave her $25,500 in scholarships per year, and Dad's net cost was about $20,000. Lynn was on cloud 9 for days. Dad, not quite so much, because we still got a $20,000 gap. The second college that admitted her was NAU, and Dad's net cost per year was about $10,650. And Dad was like, yeah, that's a little bit better. I'd rather not do that, but we could do that. And then the last school that admitted her was Whitman College. And Whitman offered her $40,750 in scholarships and grants, and Dad's net cost was $5,000. So the question is, why did they give her that kind of money? And the reason is because they looked at her and said, yes, we need her because she will have a positive impact on our rankings in one or more category. And one of those of course, she did have some good grades and good test scores in that. And one of the categories that was important to them was girl going into a mostly male-dominated major. I can't remember which one it was, and they looked at that and said, yes, we like that. And another category was Arizona student attending a college in the state of Washington. So now that college can go back to the ranking system and say, we have geographic diversity. We've got kids from here, there, Arizona. We've got kids from all over the place. And that causes a positive increase on their rankings, which attracts more attention. And with more attention comes more applications and more application fees. Yes, these colleges are going to make this money up in the back end. This is why they are offering some scholarships to have a positive impact on their rankings. And this is one of the areas where we specialize at AZ College Planning, is helping students to position themselves and market themselves to show the college, yes, I will have a positive impact on your rankings. So let's talk about our comparison here. On one side, we've got ASU, sticker price $29,891. If you're looking at Barrett, you can add some money on there. It's about $35,000 for Barrett. But if you just go to regular ASU, the sticker price at ASU is just shy of $30,000. Now, I do have a family, their EFC is $8,320, and we did some things strategically to get them to that point. And when I have a conversation with you, I'll see if there's anything that we can do to help you in that category. Sometimes there are things that we can do, sometimes not. If it's a scenario where we can't make an impact on your EFC by doing anything because you have a high income or a high net worth, like that family I told you earlier, where dad's income was $1.5 million annually, there's not a whole lot that we can do to manipulate those numbers. But in some situations we can, in others we can't. If we cannot, then I'm going to point you towards some colleges that are going to want your student and offer some type of merit scholarships. So in our scenario here, we've got a $29,000 sticker price, $88,320 EFC, and we have a need of $21,577. Now ASU is not generous. They meet about 61% of the need. So of that $21,000, they're going to give us about $13,162 in need, which gives us an unmet need of $8,415. Now, of the need that they're going to give us, that $13,000, what's the split on it? And it's almost 50-50. It's 53% in gift aid and 47% in scholarship. In self-help, which is loans and work study. And you can find all these numbers on the IRS's nces.ed.gov website. It's kind of buried in there, but you can find it. There's also a link on my website for the NCES, so you can go to my website and click on that link. So if we do the numbers on that, ASU is going to give this student $6,976 in the form of scholarship and grant, $6,186 in self-help, which is loans and work study, for an upfront cost of $16,735. How did I get that? That's our EFC plus our unmet need equals that $16,700. Now on the other side of this comparison, we've got Claremont McKenna. And Claremont has a sticker price of $73,775 for 1 year. Our EFC is the same, $8,320. And our EFC is going to be the same regardless of whatever college the student applies to, whether it be ASU, whether it be Claremont, whether it be Scottsdale Community College, or even Stanford. That EFC is going to be a static number for that student for that year. And you have to refile the financial aid forms, the FAFSA and the CSS profile each year, and that EFC will track your income and assets. If your incomes go up, then your EFC is going to go up, or if your income goes down, then the EFC is going to track that and go down. But for for that particular year. So we have a need of $65,455. Now, Claremont happens to be one of the wealthier colleges. They have just around $500 million in their endowment system. And they are known to be very generous. There are some colleges that say, yes, we meet 100% of your need, and we're going to give it to you all in loans. I'm like, thanks, but no thanks. Claremont McKenna, again, happens to be one of the wealthier colleges, and they also tend to be very generous with scholarships. And they meet 100% of our need. So we have an unmet need of 0. Now, what's the split on it? The gift aid is 92%. That's scholarships and grants. So they're going to give this student about $60,000 in scholarship and grant, and 8% in self-help, which is loans and work study, for about $5,237 for an upfront cost of $8,320. How did I get that number? That's our EFC plus our unmet need equals that number. But is that really our true cost? No, there's one more number that needs to be added in there, and that is our self-help, because that needs to be paid back in if it's a loan. So at ASU, if we add that number back in, now we're looking at about $22,921 is what our net cost is at ASU. And if we compare that with Claremont McKenna, and Claremont, after running the numbers, is $13,577. That's our EFC plus our unmet need plus our loan. Now tell me which college is more or less expensive. Please do not throw out a college based solely on the sticker price until you've run all of these numbers. One thing that you need to understand is that Claremont McKenna is a private college. And there are a lot of private colleges that are very wealthy in their endowment systems. And these private colleges know that they need to compete with in-state costs. And when they identify a student that they want and need and will have a positive impact on their rankings, then they're going to try and admit that student and give them a great scholarship package. You've waited for this one, and the number one way to get more money is negotiate with a college. If you ask a college if they negotiate, they will flat out tell you no. I want to tell you a story. When Danielle came into the office, it was her sophomore year of high school. We were having a conversation, and I asked Danielle and her parents, have you visited any colleges? And they said, no, we haven't. And I said, go and visit some colleges. And they said, I don't know what questions to ask. I have a list of questions to ask. And I gave them that list of questions. And they did a little road trip down to Tucson to visit the University of Arizona. And whoever the tour guide down there did a fabulous job, because when Danielle came back, she said, this is my college. This is the school that I want to go to. And I'm going to only apply to one college. And I said, please apply to more than one college. And she agreed, and she ended up applying to a handful of colleges. Well, let's jump forward to her senior year, and she was admitted to U of A. We knew that she had the parameters to be admitted based on her grades and test scores and all that stuff. And her original scholarship package at U of A was 0. You want to come here? It's $30,000 for 1 year. And Dad called me up in a panic and said, I don't want to pay that much money. I said, what other colleges was she admitted to, and what scholarships and awards did she receive? And he said, oh, she was admitted to this college and she got this scholarship package. I said, great. Take that scholarship package, go down to U of A and say, they gave me this. What can you guys do? And not only did they beat it, they also gave Danielle an iPad. Danielle was very excited about the iPad. Dad was more excited about the scholarship package. And U of A is notorious for doing this, by the way. They are notorious for lowballing for the first round. And there's going to be a lot of students and parents that just look at that award package and go, oh, I guess it is what it is. We'll just take out some loans or we'll just pay for it without even trying to attempt to negotiate with the college. So apply to multiple colleges so you can use that as leverage as you are trying to get more money from one college or another. The absolute worst thing that a student can do is apply to one college, because as I said earlier, if they're admitted to that one college, then there really is no leverage. That's one of the reasons why I do not recommend applying under the early decision heading. So I want to give you a couple examples of some award letters that we've received. And here's the first one right here. And this is McConnell. He was admitted to NYU. And he was offered $65,820 in scholarships. And NYU's sticker price is $74,734 for 1 year. So his parents' net cost for him to go to that school is $8,914 for 1 year. And I'm happy to report that McConnell did get this scholarship package each and every year. He is going into his senior year this year, and he was offered this same scholarship package all 4 years. Now, of course, he did his part with maintaining a minimum GPA while in college to renew his scholarship package. So you want to find out what the minimum GPA is at each of the colleges to renew your scholarship package. At ASU, the minimum GPA is 3.0 in order to renew the scholarship package for the next year. I had a student in his freshman year at ASU. He finished up his freshman year with a 2.95, a 0.05 shortage, and he lost his scholarship package. That's just paying attention right there and turning one more homework assignment in on time. So McConnell got an incredible scholarship package here. I love to tell the story about Rohit. He was admitted to the University of Texas Dallas campus. And I love to ask this question: what's good? Good is getting admitted to college. What's better than that? Better than that is getting a scholarship package. What's better than getting a scholarship package? Getting full tuition. Now, as you talk to your friends, students, co-workers, etc., and they're telling you that their student got a full ride at ASU, be very skeptical. It is very rare for a student to earn a full ride. They may get full tuition, which is going to be about $11,000 or $12,000 at ASU. But when you add in there the dorm room, meal plan, and everything else, we're still at a shortage of about $15,000 to $16,000. So what's good? Getting a scholarship. What's better than that? Getting full tuition. What's better than full tuition? Of course, getting the full ride. What's better than getting a full ride? And that's this right here. And I'll read it to you. What Rohit was offered was all tuition and fees covered for 4 years. He was offered a $4,000 per semester cash stipend, another $1,500 per semester on-campus housing stipend, and another $6,000 one-time award for study abroad. That'll pay for his airline ticket for him to go anywhere he wants and have some pocket cash to do whatever he wants. When you add in there the semester stipend and the dorm stipend, and after he paid for his dorm room and his meal ticket, he was netting around $3,000. So what's better than full tuition? Of course, getting paid to go to college. And yes, at some colleges, that is their absolute best scholarship package. Here's another story about Nicole. She was admitted to Washington University in St. Louis. She was offered $45,400 in scholarships per year, and her parents' net cost about $11,000. When we did the math on it, it was less expensive for her to go to this out-of-state private college than it would have been for her to attend one of the in-state schools. Here's another one. This is Bruce, and Bruce graduated this last month from Notre Dame, and he was offered $51,000 in scholarships per year. About 13 grand a year was his parents' net cost. He did get this scholarship package each and every year. And Dad said that he thought my tagline, "It could be cheaper to go to an out-of-state college than attend an in-state college," was just a sales pitch until we actually did it for his student. And we did it again for his younger daughter. But JD, are all of these students super brainiacs and have amazing test scores? Not necessarily. Here's another student. I won't tell you her name, but she went to Spring Hill College in Alabama. And after running all the numbers, it was less expensive for this student to attend this private college than it would have been for her to go to ASU. And she had a 2.8 GPA, and her SAT score was, it was fair. It wasn't all that great. But a combination of all these different scholarships and grants, plus Spring Hill looked at her and said, yes, she's the type of student that we want, because it will increase our rankings in one or more category, and one of those categories is out-of-state students. We need more Arizona kids attending our college. Let's give her a good scholarship package. And they ended up giving her a nice scholarship package, which was better than her going in-state. Here's another great story, Tanner. Tanner was, when Tanner came into the office, he says, JD, my dream is to fly jets for the Air Force, and I'm going to apply to the Air Force Academy, and that's the only school I'm going to apply to. And I said, Tanner, please apply to more than one college. Apply to all the military academies, and then apply to every ROTC program, and then have a backup plan on top of all of that stuff. And Tanner actually agreed, and he says, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And we had a conversation. He calls me up and says, JD, I took the ACT test. I'd like to have a meeting with you. He came into the office and he says, JD, I'm really excited. I've been doing some research on the Air Force's website, and the minimum ACT score is 25. I got a 26. What do you think? I said, they're going to take your application and they're going to throw it in the trash because you're barely above the minimum. So we plugged him into my program that's called Beat the Test. And in the Beat the Test program, we teach students how to beat the test. The SAT and the ACT, as well as APs, they are all standardized tests. Because they are a standardized test, they have to follow a pattern. When you identify the pattern in the question tells you where to look for the answer. Tanner went through the program and he retook the ACT and ended up with a 29 or a 30. I can't remember the exact score, but really jumped his score tremendously from that one sitting. And as a result of that, he was admitted into the Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York. And with the Merchant Marine Academy, with the Air Force Academy, when you graduate from that, you go into the Air Force. And with the Naval Academy, you go into the Naval Academy. With the Merchant Marines, they ask you, what branch do you want to go into? And he says, I want to go into the Air Force. And yes, today, Tanner is flying around those amazing jets and stuff. I love to tell the story about Jonathan. When I helped Jonathan apply to different colleges, we got a nice scholarship package. And in March, April of his senior year, Jonathan and his parents and I all had a conversation at the office. And Jonathan's parents said, we are willing to help you go to college, and we are willing to pay this much, a certain dollar amount. Anything above that dollar amount, that's going to be on you. And so whatever is above that, that's going to be on you. And after we ran the numbers, we were about $5,000 short from what the net cost was minus the scholarships and grants that George Fox University in Oregon offered Jonathan. And Jonathan says, I've got an idea. Why don't I defer admission at the college? And yes, you can do that. You simply call the college up and say, hold my spot for a year. And most every college will agree to that. And then you attend that college a year later. So Jonathan says, I'll defer admission for a year and I'll go get a job. I'll save up $5,000 and then I'll go to college the next year. I said, what are you going to do? Are you going to leapfrog it, take a year off, save up some money, go to college, take another year off, save up some money, and take 8 years to graduate? I said, no. Here's what I would like you to do. What I would like you to do is I would like you to call the college on the phone and speak with your recruiter. And I said, you know who your recruiter is, right? He says, yes. And I'm asking him some loaded questions because I had already instructed him on how to develop rapport with the recruiter. I said, you know who your recruiter is, right? Call that person on the phone and say something like this. I'm really excited. Thank you for admitting me to your college. And my parents are willing to help me pay for college, but they're only willing to help me this much. And after scholarships it gave me, thank you for those scholarships, by the way. After scholarships and what my parents are willing to pay, we're about $5,000 short. What can I do? And poof, magically, another $5,000 scholarship appeared. And Jonathan went to George Fox University. He graduated on time in 4 years. Here's another example, is Adele. She was admitted to TCU. She got $216,820 in scholarships for 4 years, over the course of 4 years. And she is currently going into her junior year and is on track to getting this scholarship each and every year. I already told you about Bruce going to Notre Dame. Over the course of 4 years, it was $204,000. Here's another student who's going to LA Tech, and he was coachable. He followed through and got the results. He ended up getting 100% of tuition plus some extra. I love to tell this story about Chad. When Chad came into the office, I was helping him develop a list of colleges, and one of the schools that popped up on my list for him was Vanderbilt. And I said, Chad, you've got the package, you've got the grades, the test scores, the leadership that a school like Vandy is looking for. I think you should apply to Vanderbilt, as well as a handful of other colleges. And Mom pulls me aside and says, JD, please do not encourage him to go to Vanderbilt, because if he's admitted to that college, we don't have the money for him to go to that school. So please encourage him to apply to a different school. I said, let's play the game, please. Let's play the game. I showed him how to market himself to the college. Long story short, he got admitted to Vandy, and over the course of 4 years, he was offered $231,000 in scholarships. His parents' net cost was about $5,000 or $6,000 per year. Right after that, I got a really nice email from Chad's mom. So always play the game. I told you about McConnell, $263,000 in scholarships over the course of 4 years. Nicole again at WashU, $181,000. Here's another student, $212,000. He's being offered over the course of 4 years at TCU. And here's another student who went to NAU, and Trevor graduated from NAU 100% debt-free. That is exactly where we want our students to start their life as they graduate from college. So you're next. You are next. If you do the work, follow the plan, do these things, there is a strong possibility that you will get into some great colleges and get some amazing scholarship packages. How are we going to do that? We're going to do things that are on purpose. I got this really nice email from one of my dads, and I'll just kind of paraphrase what it says. She got a full ride and is not taking out any student loans. Hopefully she will continue to have that full ride through all 4 years since we're expecting to go to med school. And I have a strong possibility that she can go to med school and get an incredible scholarship there as long as she continues to follow the plan and the path. And yes, she is receiving the scholarship package and getting that full ride over the course of the next 4 years. She's going into her junior year right now. Super excited for her and where she's headed in her life. So when should you start? Earlier is better. You've probably heard this one. When's the best time to plant a tree? That was 20 years ago. When is the second best time? Well, that second best time is now, and that's from an ancient Chinese proverb. So the earlier you start on the process, the easier it will be to obtain an incredible scholarship package. I've had students who've started as early as 7th or 8th grade, but we definitely want to start in our freshman or sophomore year as early as possible. If you are a junior, we got to get the ball rolling right now. If you're going into your senior year, we got to kick it into high gear because the application season is going to open on August 1st, and we want to get our applications submitted in the first round as soon as application season opens. Here's another scholarship package. He was offered $45,400 from Illinois Institute of Technology. So I want to help tell your student's success story. So what will your student's success story be? So I've got a couple tips for you. If you have a junior or a sophomore or a freshman in high school right now, they're going into their freshman, sophomore, or junior year in high school. Because of the current craziness that we're living in with the pandemic and the social distancing and all that, most, if not all, of the summer programs, internships, and all that have been canceled. So here's my suggestion and my tip, is to look for some virtual online volunteer opportunities. If you just go to a search engine online, you can type in virtual volunteer opportunities, and you can find half a dozen or a dozen different pages where you can find some information where you can volunteer virtually. If we jump forward to the next year, if you've got a high school junior class of 2022, in a couple of years, that student's going to apply to college. And if their application says, for the summer of 2020, I didn't do anything because everything was canceled, versus because everything was canceled, I did some virtual volunteering. That's going to be really impressive when you apply to colleges. For the class of 2021, also look at taking the SAT and ACT tests if you are going into your senior year. Some of the colleges are waiving the requirement for SAT and ACT tests. If a student applies to a college where it is optional and that student walks in with some strong test scores, they're going to beat out students who applied without test scores. So there's going to be a lot of students that end up being lazy, don't study, don't take the SAT or ACT, and don't submit scores. And we can beat those students out by doing some prep and study and taking the test and providing test scores and getting into those colleges. So look at doing some virtual volunteering. Also look at doing some prep and study over the course of summer, and plan on taking the tests in the fall. So let's tell you a little bit about what we do at AZ College Planning, and then we'll wrap it all up. So one of the things we'll do is some one-on-ones. Your student will come in, we'll generate I'll generate a customized plan specifically for your student and help them market and promote themselves to colleges. We'll also have some parent meetings. The parent meeting is going to be more on the financial side. I also host a variety of different classes. I mentioned one of the classes, which is the Beat the Test class. I also have a how to study class, how to market yourself class, a resume, and an essay class. Plus I have a couple parent classes as well. So those are different things that I offer through AZ College Planning. If you would like a complimentary college consultation, please send me an email and I will contact you to schedule this meeting. And please include a phone number that you can be reached at during the day. When you come in for your complimentary consultation, please bring your student and we'll have a conversation. We'll see if there is a good fit or not. And if there is a good fit, I'll offer a spot for you to become a client. At that point, if I offer a spot for you to become a client, and I'll be very, very frank and very forward with this, either I'll say, yes, I can help you, or no, I can't help you. If I say, no, I can't help you, I will point you in the right direction. If I say, yes, I can help you, I already know in my mind that we can make a serious positive impact on your student and on your family. And I already know that we're going to get a great scholarship package. And from that, what I charge for my services is $39.97. When I offer a spot for a family to become a client, I already know that we're going to get 3, 4, 5, or 10 times that in scholarships and grants. If we look at McConnell or Adele or any of the other examples that I've shown you where they're getting $100,000, $200,000 in scholarships, that was an amazing investment that they did. And their students followed the path and they were able to get into some really incredible scholarships and get into some really great colleges. So if you would like a complimentary consultation, please send me an email, jd@azcollegeplanning.com. Also, please tell your friends about AZ College Planning, and I'll be happy to chat with you and your student and really set you up for success, help you to get in some really great colleges, and help you to get an incredible, amazing scholarship package. So someone is asking if I could leave the stream up. I am going to end the stream in just a moment. And the link that I have is going to be the same link that you can use to rewatch this if you choose to do that. Okay. So again, if you would like a complimentary consultation and all that, please do send me an email. Again, I'll be very happy to meet with your student and meet with you and set you up on this path of success as we move forward with college and all of that. Again, send an email to jd@azcollegeplanning.com. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll be talking to you later.